What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, Maddy McDaniel has been suspended from South Carolina. We got Alyssa Thomas, who has joined Project B, and so now she's going to have equity in Unrivaled and Project B, but also they don't coexist, Unrivaled and Project B. So we're going to talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about the fact that no one wants the WNBA All Star Game and how I have an idea that could be huge for the WNBA. That and a whole lot more on today's episode of Quita in the Morning. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Ready, set, go.
For the game about McDaniel, do you think she'll be back next game?
Doubt it.
She'll be back this season.
That's on her. It's on her. So we'll evaluate it every day.
One more about Maddy. Can you share any details about why she's suspended?
That's it.
All right, so there you have it. The news that came through yesterday, the news that I was like, whoa, didn't have that on my bingo card. It's that Maddy McDaniel has been suspended for South Carolina. We found out via a tweet from South Carolina's Twitter account. We ended up seeing it come out saying Maddy McDaniel will not be at tonight's game. She has been suspended. And there were some people who were like, why did y'all put this out and blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. College sports are legit, big time. Meaning sports information, the people who are in charge of sort of communications for various teams, like they have to put out stuff like they have to publicly let people know that, hey, this person is not playing, XYZ happened. And so I don't think this is an instance of South Carolina trying to dog out Maddy McDaniel. I actually think that this is just South Carolina doing their job. I don't think this is this is any type of like real dig on her, them putting out this tweet. I feel like they kind of just had to, like, that's just their job. Right. And this is not high school sports, right? This is legit business. Even though they're amateurs, this is legit business. So they have to kind of put out stuff like that. So that's, in my opinion, why they did it. But let's kind of talk about this suspension. You all heard what Dawn Staley had to say. She does not, it's up to Maddy McDaniel, basically, if she returns back to the team this year. Dawn Staley would not elaborate further, just that, Maddy might not be available for the next game, and it depends on her what happens from here. Now, it could very well be that Maddy McDaniel broke a team rule, right? Various teams have like specific rules for their program about what you can and cannot do, right? It could be something school related. Don't know, right? I don't know, and I'm not here to speculate. But because that's just not my job. If y'all want to speculate away. But it could be anything. Again, it could be team rule. It could be school related. It could be something else. Whatever it is, here's what we do know for a fact. This puts South Carolina now at 9 players. Remember, guys, they came into the season with only 10 players on their roster because of the injury of Chloe Kitts and Ashton Watkins. So they had 10 players available for the season. Now you have 9 with Maddy McDaniel suspended. Again, we don't know exactly how long she will be out, but it's kind of safe to say that she will not be available for the USC game. Here's the thing. The South Carolina plays USC, University of Southern California. That game is happening on the 15th, and we do know that if Maddy McDaniel does not play, they're going to have 9 players for that game. And this will be South Carolina's best test of the season on the 15th as they play Southern Cal. And yes, the Southern Cal team is not the same team as they were last year, but I gotta say, Jazzy is looking pretty awesome right now. And I really like London Jones on Southern Cal. I think Kennedy Smith is absolutely doing her role on both specifically on the defense, but also contributing on the offensive end. USC is nothing to play with, right? And is Maddy McDaniel like the best player in the world? No. But playing a team like Southern Cal, I do think you need depth. I do think it would be helpful to have 10 players available as opposed to 9, specifically at that guard spot. And so that to me is the bigger deal in this. It's not the fact that Maddy's out for a game against Clemson, which yesterday, South Carolina kind of easily ended up taking down Clemson. Though at times they did play kind of sloppy and bad. But they ended up taking down Clemson yesterday 65-37. To me, that's not the issue. The issue is, again, against USC, you don't know which of your players are going to get in foul trouble. You have no idea, right? And so while individually Maddy McDaniel is not that big of a sort of impact player, right? She is another body, another person that you could just bring in there. A sophomore who has kind of gone through it last year and kind of knows what Dawn wants and expects from her. I do think that could make an impact. Will it? We don't know. We'll see what happens on the 15th. But again, guys, South Carolina does play Southern Cal on the 15th, and I think that's going to be the biggest test so far for this squad. Maddy McDaniel, she's out. She's out. She was out yesterday. She's likely going to be out tomorrow or on the 15th. We don't know what happened. We don't know what the situation is. Dawn is keeping it close to the vest exactly what has happened. Again, here is the clip.
For the game about McDaniel, do you think she'll be back next game?
Doubt it.
Maybe not back this season.
That's on her. It's on her. So we'll evaluate it every day.
One more about Maddy. Can you share any details about why she's suspended?
That's it.
All right. Again, that's on her. They'll evaluate every day on Maddy returning back to this team. Again, we don't know. This is not I'm not gonna speculate. And actually, here's the thing. I really appreciate coaches who are honest and tell you what's going on without telling too much of players' business. This is not. I don't intend to just sort of gas Dawn Staley up, but truly, I like how she handled this. Again, I'm not in favor of when coaches just don't answer anything. Or it's like okay, this player didn't play. No comment. No. You know what I'm saying? I appreciated the fact that she let us know that likely Maddy is not playing in the next game. And it's up to her what happens in the future with her on this team. And I'm not going to tell you why she's suspended. I like that. So you're telling the people what they can expect, at least for this season. But you're not saying specifically what happened. And I'm cool with that. I don't really need to know what happened. But what I do need to know is how likely is she going to play? Her likelihood to play for the next game and the rest of the season. I appreciated that personally. B says it's not our business, it's team business. The reason why she's suspended is team business. But the fact that she is suspended is our business. Because remember, guys, this is not high school sports. It's not. This is basically professional sports light version. Okay? Because remember, guys, you can bet on college sports. You can bet on these games. And because of that, you know, there has to be a level of transparency where you are telling people kind of what to expect. Right? You kind of got to do that because, again, this is basically pro sports. But the reason why, absolutely, that's team business. Absolutely, that's team business. But the suspension itself, I think, is everybody's business, really. At this point in NCAA sports. Now, if you would have asked me the same thing, you know, a decade ago, I would say, yeah, it's really nobody's business but the teams. But now with the professionalization of college sports, I don't know. Claudia says very, very, very light version. Yes, but still, like it's way closer to pro than it ever has been. Okay. B says South Carolina is good without her. Tessa will eat up her minutes with buckets. Maddy is a marginal player. Yeah, again, Maddy is someone who last year I think she averaged around like 11 minutes a game. In the one game she played so far this year, she only had eight minutes. And here's the thing: she's not a huge impact player, but again, she is a body. She is just a person that you can bring in. And with only 10 players on your roster, you know, who knows if someone goes down during the game? Who knows if someone gets in foul trouble? Again, like, it's important to just have bodies there. Even if she was going to, you know, be on the bench for the most part. Okay? Ghost says, doesn't matter. What matters is this. The West Coast is waking y'all up. I mean, shout out to the West Coast, man. Shout out to the West Coast. Yeah, the West Coast. Hey, y'all doing y'all thing, okay? But I mean, the West Coast has always been fire. I mean, remember, the Pac-12 was a Power 5 league for a reason, okay? El Kune says losing Kits, Ashton Watkins, and Malaysia Fulwale is a big deal. Yeah, that is, yeah. But what's done is done, right? Chloe Kits and Ashton Watkins are hurt. They're not playing this year. Malaysia Fulwale decided to transfer. It is what it is, right? So where that has all led us to is 10 players available for South Carolina. Now 9 with Maddy out. Okay. Dang, Molly with the dig says Dawn is not Westmore. She will make adjustments. Now, yeah, that's what she's gonna do. I mean, but why you, Molly? Why you got to dig on Westmore for, man? I know NC State lost to USC. I know, and I know that Westmore did not make adjustments. But man, why you gotta call? Why you gotta call them out like that? Okay. But yeah, she's definitely gonna make adjustments. Yeah. That's not a issue. Okay. Ooh, Jasper with a hot take Says Texas is winning the SEC most balanced team. Really? I do like Texas. I do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm curious to hear what you all have to say about that. Yes, y'all listen to Shay and like the live. Yes. Thank you, Shay. Candace says exactly, Quita. That's what's done is done. Let's hoop. Go Gamecocks. Oh yeah, let's go. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'll keep you all posted. But again, no speculation here. Don't know why she's out. We'll find out eventually, or we'll never find out. Either way, we know she's going to be out at least for the next game and possibly more, depending on her, basically. All right. So that is that news. Now I wanted to move on to something else that was a surprise, but at the same time was not a surprise. And this is the fact that Project B has now gotten another player to sign with them. And this one is someone who has equity in Unrivaled already. Alyssa Thomas has signed on with Project B, and I gotta say, when I saw this come through yesterday, I was like, okay, Alyssa, you better get your money, okay? She says, quote, "I'm chasing purpose, not perfection. The real victory is what you leave behind for the next generation." And I was like, okay. Okay, random quote time. Okay. I just, that quote itself was such a you know those you know how you can like Google like inspirational quotes on Google, and then you see like the Google images of like the a quote with like flowers around it, or like a sunset around it, or like whatever. And that's kind of what I think about the quotes. I think that's one of those quotes that you see as one of those inspirational ones. I'm chasing purpose, not perfection. The real victory is what you leave behind for the next generation. I mean, get that generational wealth, Alyssa Thomas, okay? That's what I gotta say. Again, guys, Alyssa Thomas has signed with Project B. She becomes the second player to sign with Project B, which is the new upstart league that is starting in 2026 after the WNBA season is over. This league is promising, in the $2 million mark for some players to sign with them. Will every player make that? No, but I'm just saying, like, it's absolutely a thing. Alyssa Thomas is fantastic. This is someone who is a 6-time All Star, right? She was a finalist in 2024 for the MVP. This is someone who made it to the WNBA Finals this past season with the Phoenix Mercury. This is someone who just year after year is one of the top players in the WNBA, just about every time, right? This is very, very interesting that Alyssa Thomas has signed with Project B, especially considering, guys, remember, guys, she was a part of the inaugural Unrivaled season. Remember, and the players who participated in that, they all have equity in Unrivaled, and so now Alyssa Thomas has equity in Unrivaled, and now she is actually going to also have equity in a league that is happening at the same time as Unrivaled. And so it's a little bit interesting how this is going to work, right? It's very, very interesting how this is going to work, because, again, they're happening where they overlap. They overlap. And so it just makes me wonder, how does this work? Remember, guys, Unrivaled goes from roughly January to March, right? And Project B is supposed to end after the WNBA season, like in October/November, and run until like March. So that overlaps. Here's the thing. I ended up tweeting about this yesterday, and I want to say it again. Yesterday, I tweeted and said that it's going to be basically interesting to see how this affects Unrivaled, because remember, guys, the WNBA and Project B can technically coexist in the short term. They can definitely coexist and be okay. Unrivaled and Project B, the way it's currently looking, they can't exist at the same time. They can't coexist, is what I'm trying to say. They can't coexist, meaning that the players who sign up for Project B can't also play in Unrivaled at the same time. They can't coexist when it comes to players. And so what happens to the future of Unrivaled if even some of the Unrivaled players are now signing with Project B? What happens? What happens now? I think this is we're in uncharted waters when it comes to women's sports, right? Of course, you have the WNBA where players are just in disagreement with WNBA leadership, right? The CBA has been extended for 30 days, but that 30 days is about to be up soon. And where will the WNBA be in terms of a new CBA, right? You have a lot of players upset, saying they want more of the piece of the pie when it comes to the WNBA, and they want a percentage of revenue that they believe is fair, right? They want to be able to reap the benefits of what they believe they deserve from the WNBA. And then you have other leagues. You have Athletes Unlimited, who is partnered with the WNBA, and so that's one thing. But that doesn't pay as much. But you also have Unrivaled, a league that is started by two WNBA players, two players on the executive leadership of the Players Association, right? And those two players, Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, they're trying to make Unrivaled a viable thing for players. They're literally signing college players to NIL deals. And when they finish college, they'll be playing in Unrivaled, right? This is a league in Unrivaled that has some of the best talent in the WNBA playing for them. And not only playing for them, in that first year, those same players got an equity stake in Unrivaled. Now, yes, Unrivaled does happen in the offseason of the WNBA. It happens in January. But again, these players have used Unrivaled as a way to kind of say, hey, WNBA, we can do this here at Unrivaled. Why can't you do this? Or we're giving our players this. Why can't you do that? Yada, yada, yada. Right? And so Unrivaled is being used as a example for the WNBA, but also as a warning of, okay, WNBA, if y'all don't want to get y'all stuff together, well, players have other alternatives. Players have other alternatives than the WNBA. And now, with this Project B thing, Unrivaled kind of thought they were top dogs, in terms of providing an alternative for WNBA players. Now you have Project B that is promising an exorbitant amount of money, like exorbitant. And I know that supposedly this is not being funded by Saudi Arabia. However, how are you getting this money? It's a lot of money. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. We'll hold that for another day. But the financial backing of this Project B aside, Yes, we do know about some of the investors in it, but no way those investors have enough money to pay, players upwards of $2 million to play in one season. I don't think so. But anyway, let's continue on. Here's the deal. Unrivaled kind of thought they were big dogs and thought that they could kind of, stick it to the WNBA and how they were the alternative for WNBA players. Now, here comes Project B with huge backing. Millions and millions of dollars that they can pay players. Up to 8 figures that they can pay players. And now, Project B is happening at the same time as Unrivaled. And so, you gotta think that now Unrivaled is thinking like, oh my goodness, here comes this big behemoth of a company that has just more financial backing than us. Are they going to start taking our players? And if so, what do we do? And so this is not just a, WNBA versus Project B. No, I don't think so. No. This is way more of a Project B versus Unrivaled thing. Because again, technically Project B and Project B and the WNBA can coexist. Project B and Unrivaled, unless things change, they cannot exist at the same time. And again, remember, AT now has equity in both Unrivaled and Project B. I just gotta say that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Okay. How many more and also again, the rollout of Project B names, in my opinion, is strategic. Starting off with Nneka Ogwumike to lead off the players announced. That was on purpose. That was very specific, and that, in my opinion, was a direct shot to the WNBA. Now, with the announcement of Alyssa Thomas joining Project B, in my opinion, that is a kind of shot at Unrivaled. A not intentional, but also kind of intentional, not from AT's point of view, but from Project B's point of view, to say that basically we're trying to be the top dogs in the offseason. We're going to be the top dogs. That's what we're going to be. That's my thoughts there. What do y'all think? I'm very curious to hear what you all have to say. Shakim, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, if RJ is supposed, RJ, I assume that means Raven Johnson. If Raven Johnson is supposed to be South Carolina's floor general, why does the offense stall when she's on the floor? And why does she struggle to create her own shot or generate scoring opportunities for others? Here's the thing. I really do think that Raven Johnson, if she wants a career in the WNBA, after the fact, after this season is over, Raven Johnson has to be more aggressive. And she has to actually look for a shot. I think the hope of her, my hope for her returning this season to play at South Carolina was to see her develop more into a scorer. And that's just not what she's doing. Here's the thing. Raven Johnson does create opportunities for her teammates. I think that flat out, that's a true statement. She does create opportunities for her teammates. And in a lot of ways, I do think she's a good point guard in terms of getting the ball to certain players. But the thing I don't understand, and the thing that I thought was going to be solved this year still is not, is Raven Johnson being more scoring focused. Personally, I don't really understand. I don't really understand it. Here's the thing. You You need to show that you are more of a scorer. I think you need to show that you can be super aggressive, because in the WNBA, we've seen point guards who aren't looking to score like that come out of college and not make it in the WNBA. We've seen it. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Raven Johnson absolutely is South Carolina's floor general, but I do think she needs to be more aggressive. I mean, and it's one thing to score a couple points against, teams that you're blowing out, but like, for example, against USC, like I want to see Raven get to like 12, 13 points, in that game, right? And see if that could sort of be her average, where she's like actually looking for her shot, because when she shoots, she's a decent shot. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like sometimes she's a little bit nervous or whatever to shoot. I don't know. But I think that is a thing. That is a thing. Okay. Because here's the thing: Raven Johnson can shoot threes. She can. Right? She can get to the bucket and score. I think he just needs to be more aggressive in general. Okay. Now, yes. She did play good, really good actually, in the game against GCU, right? 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, right? And she did pretty good against Bowling Green, 11 points, 11 assists. But I just want to see her shoot more shots. Like I just do. I want to see her shoot more shots and be more aggressive. We all know she could pass. Like that, to me, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. We all know how good of a passer she is. Well, I know how good of a passer she is. I also know that she has had a really good shot so far this year, right? Shooting 50% from the field, right? 50-something% from the three. And so, yeah. Anyway. Let's continue to talk about Project B. Because I want to get some more of y'all comments. Erica says, did Project B announce any media rights? No, they have not announced any media rights deals. Again, there is a whole lot of money that Project B has, and I don't think of course they want to get a good media rights deal, but like I don't think they are going to be too reliant on media rights deal. I think they clearly have other money that we don't know about, or they're going to be able to pay these players. All right. But I'm personally very excited to just see where women's basketball goes, because here's the thing. This could go a whole bunch of different ways. This could be a great thing to force the WNBA to innovate, to force, other American-based leagues to innovate and do better. Or this could be the beginning of the end of sorts, or somewhere in the middle. Either way, this should be interesting, and in the short term, this is going to bring a lot of money to a lot of players, okay? Generational wealth, money. And having the ability to have players go to various organizations, or various countries, I should say. Crank that says Project B will make Unrivaled go under with offering more money. Here's the thing. We'll see. I do think eventually Unrivaled needs to do something, because it would be interesting if eventually this forces Unrivaled to move into a 5-on-5 league, or moves them to partner with someone else in some way. That would be very, very interesting. Brer says these players deserve the money, though. They've been playing for years for nothing. I mean, they've been getting paid something, but yes, I get your sentiment. I do understand your sentiment. Joycey says, I think Kathy is going to block all this. She's going to give them the money they want, but in the CBA, she's going to have a clause that states players can't play in any other leagues during the offseason. Now, here's the thing. If the WNBA is smart, that's what they would do. If I am the leader of a league, and in the offseason, I have players that are playing in other leagues, potentially getting hurt, and missing out on my season, like, I think that's an issue. So, yes, if the WNBA is smart, you're going to put some sort of clause in the CBA where players can't leave. However, if you're going to do that, you have to pay the players more, way, way, way more, and give them more of what they want, because if they're like, oh, I have to sign exclusivity to you and I can't play for nobody else, okay, well, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the WNBA does that, if they say, you can't play in Unrivaled, you can't play in Project B, you can't play anywhere else, and the WNBA is not paying players more than the other guys, players will go. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, if a player has signed up for Project B, getting $2 million, the WNBA, who's saying, oh, we're going to give you $800,000 a year, but you can't play for anybody else. Don't you think the player would be like, okay, well, I'm going to Project B? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it would be necessary for the WNBA to have some sort of clause in there for exclusivity, but at the same time, they're not in a position to, because they're not going to be paying the players more than these other leagues. Well, more than these other leagues. More than Project B is supposedly paying players. And so I think that's where you get into a little bit of a issue, because yes, you're going to have to pay big and give players really, really, really what they want if you want exclusivity. Right? You're gonna have to pay it, or else you're not the premier league anymore. You're not. And in my opinion, that is a recipe for trouble for the future of the WNBA, for the future of women's basketball. It's interesting. It really is interesting. And yesterday, there was a question that Raz Goldanwude, former hooper, she posted on Twitter a question. She said, does the WNBA need to be the premier women's basketball league and option in order for the whole women's basketball ecosystem to continue to thrive and grow? That was a question she put out on Twitter. And honestly, my answer is yeah. I think the WNBA does need to be the premier league and option for the ecosystem as a whole to grow, because it's a funnel. It's a funnel that builds in high school. It goes through college, and it eventually goes to the WNBA. Here's the thing: if entities like Project B and whatnot exist, and whatnot, I could and thrives and overtakes the WNBA as like the premier women's basketball league, I could absolutely see a situation where some of that building of hype stops in college. A situation where women's basketball in America kind of turns into Europe in a sense, where it's not like college is not like the huge stage of sorts. You'll have players who might completely just be like, oh, actually, I don't want to go. I don't want to actually bother with college. I think college basketball will eventually turn more into, like, for women, will turn more into like men's college basketball, where it's more about the program and the coach and less about the individual players, because the players won't actually end up staying for 4 years. The reason why they stay for the most part for 4 years is because the WNBA has rules in terms of drafting, and you have to be a certain age and whatnot in order to get drafted, if you're American at least. For some reason, international players don't have to abide by that, but Americans have to abide by that. I think that if the WNBA is no longer the premier entity, I do think that eventually does hurt the impact and whatnot of college basketball, and that sort of like continual building and whatnot. I don't think that happens as much, right? That's my thoughts, but what do y'all think? What do y'all think? Tisha says that's a good point. Will Project B require players to stay in college? I assume they probably wouldn't. And it'd be more like Europe in a sense, where you have players kind of like leave out of high school and then go professional, right? Players like a Dominique Malonga goes professional and basically don't really go to college, right? There's so many European top talented European players who they just go straight pro. And so that could be a thing for women's basketball in America. And that would really, really, really hurt women's college basketball. But Jasper, that's the question. How are you going to be the premier league without premier money? Yes. Here's the thing: the WNBA they're gonna have to pay. They're going to have to, because you're right. Jasper's 100% right. You cannot be a premier league without premier money. You just can't. You just can't. And then one thing else I wanted to talk about. And it involves the fact that no one wanted the WNBA All Star Game for 2026 except for the Chicago Sky. Remember, guys, back when it was announced that the Chicago Sky got the WNBA All Star Game for 2026, it was a question mark of like, why did they pick Chicago? Why Chicago? Chicago, why not some of these other cities? Why not New York? Why not? The LA Sparks trying to get a All-Star game. Why did you pick the Chicago Sky and not one of the other teams in the WNBA? Well, now we found the answer, because of course Annie has the answer from front office sports. They ended up writing yesterday that the Chicago Sky was the only WNBA team that bid for the 2026 All-Star Game. That is taking place on July the 25th, 2026 at the United Center. And then the rest of the festivities will happen at Wintrust Arena and the McCormick Center. Here's the thing. No one wanted it. That's why Chicago got it for the second time in 5 years. It's because no one else wanted it. New York didn't want it. So all those people who were like, send it to New York. New York would be a great place to host the WNBA All-Star Game. New York probably would be a really good place. But the Liberty didn't want it. The LA Sparks, the idea of, wouldn't that be historic? Wouldn't it be historic if the LA Sparks hosted it because of their legendary status in the WNBA and being an original team? Yeah, they didn't want it either. Okay? The Chicago Sky was the only team to volunteer. And historically, the WNBA has had to recruit teams to host WNBA All Star Weekend because there is no upside. It's like hosting the Olympics nowadays. You have to put all the investment in it and you barely get any return. You don't make your money back at all. A lot of investment for a little bit of shine and no real money on the back end. That's why. That's why teams don't want to host. All right. The article that Annie wrote ended up talking about Matt Ishba for the Phoenix Mercury and how he spent a ton of money, way more money than he got out of it. Basically, there's a sentiment in the WNBA that if you host the WNBA All Star Game, you will lose money just for exposure and a little bit of prestige. Even Indiana, the Indiana Fever, who, in my opinion, hosted a spectacular All Star Weekend, they didn't even want to host it. Right? They did not want to host the 2025 WNBA All Star Weekend. The league asked Indiana to host. Indiana did not fill out a bid and say, yeah, sure. Yeah, WNBA, we raise our hand. We want to host. No, the WNBA was like, please, can you host this? Please, Indiana, please take this. Right? So for all those people who are like, oh, it's great strategy. It's great strategy for Indiana to do this and whatnot. The WNBA asked Indiana to do it. Okay. All right. So that's the thing. The All-Star Game has been hosted multiple places, including Vegas, 3 times? In Seattle, in Chicago, and in Connecticut. But yeah. Chicago, they're hosting the 2026 All-Star Game, not because Chicago's the best. Not at all. Not at all. But because Chicago wanted it and no one else wanted it. Chicago wanted it, in my opinion, primarily because it's a PR thing. It is a PR thing. Chicago knows that that players, in large part, don't actually like the Chicago Sky. Remember, guys, when, The Athletic did a survey of WNBA players and they asked, basically what was the worst run team in the WNBA, and it was the Chicago Sky. The Chicago Sky know how bad of a reputation they have amongst players. And so I think they're doing this primarily because they want to basically be like, no, we're great. Chicago's awesome. Now, the city of Chicago is awesome, but the Chicago Sky itself is not awesome. Like, it's a fact. And this is from a Chicago Sky fan. Like, it's just not. You can go down the list of all the mistakes that they have made. And so, yeah. Anyway, so this is, in my opinion, the Chicago Sky trying to rehabilitate their reputation amongst WNBA players and WNBA fans. I think that's why they requested to have the All-Star Game. And because no one else wanted it, hey, take it on. And I will say this. Here's the thing. The last All-Star Game in Chicago in 2022, it wasn't well done because it was last minute. And so my hope is that the WNBA and the Chicago Sky get it together and they get a fantastic All-Star weekend in order. Okay. And if y'all need some suggestions, I got you for some suggestions. So Chicago Sky, WNBA, hit me up. I can tell you some fun spots to go to, some fun spots to have activations at, and what you can possibly do. Like, I got you. Let me know. Anyway. So this is not like an issue of the WNBA saying, picking Chicago because Chicago's close to Indiana. And like, because Indiana fans, let's have it in Chicago. No, literally, Chicago is the only team that wanted it. That's why. They're the only ones who wanted it. No one else wanted it. Right? Having the All Star Game is a massive, massive undertaking. Especially considering the Chicago Sky don't have NBA ownership backing. And so we'll see what happens, okay? We'll see what happens. All right. So that's what I got. That's what I got, guys. That was today's episode of Quita in the Mornings. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We out here making content every single day. Oh yeah, Pearls. Yeah, that's on like 38th Street. I assume it's still open. I don't know. I haven't been over by Pearl's place in forever, so I actually don't even know. I don't even know. Oh yeah, it's still open. It's still open. Yeah. Yeah, it's still open. But anyway, that's the stream. That is the stream. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Oh, Linda, yeah, good thought there. Good thought. Says, doesn't WNBA have NBA ties? Maybe Adidas Project B ties. Candace Parker. Yeah. Hey, Candace, that would actually be pretty cool for her to make Adidas like the partner for Project B. I think that'd be kind of cool. All right. Dreamland says, love going there when I come to Chicago. Good food. Yeah, great food. So make sure to go to All Star. Okay, we're gonna have a awesome people of the internet in person hangout for the All Star weekend. I'm trying to figure out what location I want to have it at. So once I have that, I'll let you all know. But plan on coming down to WNBA All Star, or coming up or over wherever you live, to WNBA All Star in Chicago next year. I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend that Quita in the Morning is on every single morning. So tune in. Also, guys, remember, you are important, you matter, and I'm happy that you are on this earth. Tell somebody that, and you like really believe that. Believe it, because it is true. Y'all have a good one. I love you. And I will see y'all tomorrow. I love ya. Tomorrow, you're only a day away.